Hey guys, and welcome to probably the funnest game I've had on Total War Warhammer in a very long time. I'm a rubber duck of war leading the mighty forces of the High Elves up against Asmore and his Chaos Legions. Traditionally, not the greatest matchup for the High Elves due to the fact the enemy can just go very wide and overwhelm you with much more cost-effective infantry and have decent elements of skirmish cavalry to fend off big nasty monsters or surprises that you may have in store for your opponent. But we've gone for a rather interesting build, and I'm also going to be looking into one of the torment rules that maybe needs a bit of changing and reworking as it is from a bygone era, but we'll have to delve into that in just a second. Before we get there, let's go through my build. So we have some spearmen guarding the flanks of this forest, which I'm using as a defensive piece of terrain, double silver and guard in the front ranks, and that is it for my front line. It is very expensive being a high elf in today's society, particularly if you go for a big glorious double hero and lord core dragon. It is certainly very expensive. So that's all we can afford, unfortunately, for the ground forces. We do have a Mage of Life in the center, coming in with just a simple Earthblood. Definitely want to be bringing Earthblood when you have two dragons on the battlefield. In a little skirmish core up front, we have double Illyrian Reavers, as well as some of the light chariots. Now, the light chariots are actually really freaking good. I mean, normally, they've been kind of overlooked and called garbage for a very, very long time, but up against enemy skirmish cav, they're extra armor, they're quite tanky, they have really decent range, they're quite a nice counter-skirmishing tool indeed. And up in the skies, we do have the glorious double dragon. We have a dragon caster, which is a major fire on a dragon, coming in with Burning Head Fireball, as well as all the items. And of course, we have Imric the Dragon Prince charging forward, leading his army, doing a bit of bump and grind with the major fire before the battle does get underway, coming in with all of the goodies. Now, you can, unfortunately, in tournaments, not take a Star Dragon alongside any other dragon. In fact, anything which does breath attacks in general, which basically for the High Elves just means any other dragon. Now, this was because back in the day, dragons were quite good, and coming in with a load of breath attacks and a little net can just instantly kill your lord is very, very upsetting for everyone, abusive, and a big pain in the butt. But considering dragons are in a pretty weak state right now, certainly not being the best large creatures in the game and almost never seen in competitive play, I don't think we need this rule really anymore. If it gets more Star Dragons into the competitive scene, I am all for it. So I think that rule needs to be scrapped, but hey, who knows? Let me know down below in the comment section what you think of that rule, if it should stay, because I don't think I was playing when it was particularly abusive, so maybe I'm just living in a fantasy world, and actually, if we were allowed this many dragons, it would be an absolute disaster for the competitions. I guess only time will tell. For the forces of the Chaos anyway, now let's delve into the battle once more. We have a Marauder Horsemen and Horse Masters on the right side and left, coming in with the 4 units of Skirmish Cavalry. We also have some Chaos Knights, a load of Chaos Marauders making up the front ranks, backed up by some much more elite and hard-hitting Chaos Warriors in their thick armor, with Mirror Guard as well in the central pocket, protecting a unit of armored Chaos Trolls. Chaos Trolls can be particularly nasty if they get their momentum going. Chaos Sorcerer Shadows is coming with Enfeebling Foe, Pendulum, and Scroll of Shielding, and we have the mighty Kolek Suneater, who we can see is doing a big chant to the skies as he drags a Urian's Thunderbolt into existence. But even in the distance, there's also one unit of Chaos Warhounds with Poison hidden. Without further ado though, let's get this battle underway, and you can see we've traded relatively effectively off the rip. I'm completely just ignoring my infantry core, so we are getting obliterated and hit by everything over there, because I'm just trying to manage the skirmish game at the moment. Our chariots chasing back the horsemen and horse masters. Imric as well is going to follow, just in case those horses get an idea to turn around and engage, and I'll be able to pop them as quickly as possible. Likewise, in the main fight, Marauder Horsemen getting dragged down here by the better archers, which are, of course, the Illyrian Reavers. Big fan of this unit in general, very swift and a big pain in the butt unit. Chaos Knights are going to be rotating out to try to deal with them. Now, in the main fight, the Silver and Guard, they're going to have to be brave here. They're trying to hold back Kolek Suneater, which certainly isn't a job anyone wants to do. They do, of course, have that lovely anti-large, but with Marauders moving in there as well, it's certainly going to be rather nasty. My opponent also gets a lovely Pendulum down the line on this unit of Silver and Guard. Despite that resistance, they're going to take a massive damage. In the distance, it does look like the horsemen did eventually turn around to catch the chariots, but the chariots actually beat them in combat. Now, with the archers as well flooding in, we easily break this position and take away half of my opponent's range forces just like that. Now, the Chaos Knights do get a big fat surround going down at Imric, so what we're going to do is the old 2-for-1 classic punch, big fat burning head doing some damage, which then also procs our passive for fire, giving that fire weakness to the enemy, and then we whack a big breath attack on them as well. That major fire doing some lovely damage down here, driving back back the Chaos Knights and the Marauders, allowing Imric to get up into the skies once more. Now, in the main fight, we have fallen back to the trees. Kolek Suneater is getting pulled in here. We are only basic spearmen, though, but hey, every little helps, and if Kolek gets, hamstringed a little bit by the trees, it's certainly a big boon for us. Chaos Warhounds of Poison are going to jump on top of my Mage of Life, which is certainly bad play by me. I need to shut this thing down as quickly as possible. Big Fat Burning Head, I wanted it to arc down that front line. It does an okay amount of damage to the Mirror Guard, but not quite as phenomenal as we were expecting. And our front line is really starting to crumble now. Another beautiful pendulum. They've been really top-notch today from my opponent. Goes down the Spearmen, terrifying them off the battlefield. Now, Imric does commit to a fight against the Chaos Warhounds, and Kolek goes balls to the wall. He's charging straight in. He sees that Imric is slightly injured, and decides, you know what, now is the time, now is the hour. Riders of Kolek with me, and no one follows him in. Instead, we get the double dreaded dragon. The dragon horn is popped. We get an Earthblood down on us as well. 2 dragons certainly going to be enough to take down the Suneater. We're doing massive damage. Look how disgusting that is. Kolek does get a Scholar Shield and popped on him slightly too late, and he is going to fall back, though the Chaos Trolls are moving up to try to support where possible. Imric is going to get up in the skies once more. Now, the Spearmen holding up the edge of the trees here, getting butchered by the Chaos Warriors. We have a large contingent still of Skirmish Cavalry, trying to outrun the Chaos Warhounds at the moment, just doing some nice damage all round. Some of our chariots have been pinned in by Chaos Knights, which is really bad news for us, and one of them, in fact, does go down. Now, Imric's going to take this point of the battle just to charge down Kolek, go all the way over there, push those big dragon winds, as they kind of look slow, but they're actually going really fast. I guess it's the size of the mighty beast. It's going to be hunting down Kolek, and I want to finish him off as quickly as possible. My opponent should definitely be bringing these Horse Masters back and Horsemen over towards Kolek to at least, I'm going to lose Kolek. I'm going to punish you by damaging Imric as much as possible. Spearmen are charging in up against Chaos Warriors. Not going to go too well for me, but I'm just trying to, shove these guys in wherever they can and get in on the action. The Reavers are able to shut down the Horse Masters. It does look like the Chaos Knights are going to attempt to counter-charge. We get a nice little Earthblood to counter any charge effects and damage that we did sustain there, and pull him back, and it's almost a nice lull in the battle now. We're chasing down routing units and just kiting backwards with our Reavers, kiting backwards with our chariots, and getting that damage where possible, whilst isolating other elements of my opponent's build, trying to use that mobility advantage the best we can. Now, Imric is struggling a little bit to deal with Kolek there, but does eventually get a big old slap from the tail right round the face. Imric has taken considerable damage, however, by the Horseman, but he's getting up into the sky once more, and again, going to use that mobility to float over to better engagements. Now, the chariots just going to be cycle charging down the Marauders where possible, whilst those Reavers do bring the pain from the range. And yeah, Marauders are a relatively low leadership unit, which we can really abuse with cycle charging. And we do charge some Reavers in the front to pin the enemy in place and allow a big fat juicy breath attack to go directly down the line, doing a decent amount of friendly fire, but likewise doing more damage to the Mirror Guard, and that's what's important here. Mirror Guard, of course, much more valuable to my opponent than a beat up unit of Reavers is for me. The Marauders continue to get a little bit isolated, so we're going to jump on them as quickly as possible and instantly rout that unit. The Horsemen still have some ammunition left. They've got some javelins in their back pockets, looking to Kobe them towards Imric as much as possible, so I'm trying to stay away from them. We're also getting a nice cheeky little Earthblood down on the Prince of all Dragons to try and keep him nice and topped up. Now, the chariots are going to do a little bit of cycle charging into the rear where possible, or even baiting my opponent in, so I can do these big breath attacks as well as burning heads. We're chasing off the Chaos Marauders, and likewise the Reavers and the chariots. The chariots have been so good today. They're such a good utility unit. I'm going to be jumping on top of the Horsemen, running them down those scythed wheels, just carving through the innards of the horses, making a bloody mess for sure, but that is going to enable us to break them down there. Chaos Warriors do take a big breath attack there from Imric going down the line. Not the best one. I was trying to get him to stick still with the chariots, but I think my opponent had learned the lesson there and didn't really want to commit to that fight. So instead, our chariots going to be rolling out to the flanks to run over the Chaos Marauders, and this entire time we're saving up Winds of Magic, which is really useful for me. We shatter the Horsemen with the chariots and the Reavers, and now we can float back to the main fight. Likewise, we do have a resurgence from our Spearmen, who are moving back to get involved once again in the main fight. Imric does swoop down upon the Chaos Marauders, terrifying them, and gets up in the sky once more as the Chaos Trolls were seeking justice. Big fat breath attack goes down the line onto the Chaos Knights there, doing some massive damage. I love to see that, and they are shattered. I want to get rid of them as well as these Trolls because their mass is able to pin in my dragons, which would really stop some of the cycle charging and potential we have in the late game. Another unit of beat-up Reavers, only 17, trying to bait my opponent into a big engagement, and then a big burning head to follow it up, doing massive damage down the line on the enemy infantry, and it is getting to the time when we're going to have to commit to a big final confrontation and fight. But before then, we're going to come with a breath attack onto the Chaos Trolls, and then going to swoop upon them. They have that weakness to fire, of course, and we have two majestic, beautiful dragons of death swooping down and splattering at the trolls in an instant. They're shoved to the ground, heads are being popped, blood is coating the both friend and foe, and those dragons are really getting slaughtered. We come down with a Lord of Dragons as well on the Chaos Warriors, so they can't follow up and punish us up too much for landing in here, and it looks like it is going pretty well for us now. The balance power is certainly in our favor. Our Spearmen and Silvern Guard are starting to fall before the might of the Marauders. Luckily, I'm able to pull apart some Marauders and Mirror Guard to haplessly chase some chariots, whilst the dragons really bring the pain here in the main fight, just doing some good old cycle charging as our chariots chase off routing units in the distance. Chaos Sorcerer has done some pretty good work. Very impressed with the pendulums and some well-placed enfeebling foes, so I've had enough of this sorcerer. I think so has Imric, looking to bring his skull back home as a trophy to Ulthuan. The Major Fire is going to be swooping back up into the skies once more. No, it's actually going for the kill on the Chaos Warriors with the help of the Mage of Life, and we're pushing that army losses really, really close now. We're going to follow up with a big, fat, juicy breath attack once again onto the enemy. Doing a bit of friendly fire. I think one of our chariots goes down there, but look at the carnage and dead bodies on the ground. Oh, it fills your little high elf heart with joy to see so many of the fellows of chaos brought low. The Chaos Warriors with great weapons are being broken here, so we're going to chase them off with the chariots, and once again use our dragons just to finish off other key elements. Our mage is kind of cursing at the Chaos Sorcerer now, calling them a 2-bit mage, a wannabe mage, a false mage. They are anything but magical, and the Mage of Life is attempting to prove that by going into hand-to-hand combat up against them. And the dragons are just two unstoppable juggernauts on the battlefield, fighting back-to-back, bro to bro, destroying the Warriors of Chaos, and it shall be a glorious victory for the forces of the High Elves. A Pyrrhic victory, well played to Asmore though, really well played. Quite impressed with his build as well, going for a big juicy 15 stack, can certainly bring the pain to most High Elf builds. And I think maybe he was caught a little bit unawares by the double dragon, plus these light chariots doing so much work in countering a lot of his horsemen. Once we countered them, the dragons just needed to focus down Kolak at any opportunity and kind of pounce upon him. And once he was done, there's not too much my opponent can do to stop those really nasty breath attacks coming in. And you can see our dragons perform so well. 103 kills with 3,569 damage value on Imric and 2,380 damage value on the Major Fire, coming in with 115 kills. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll go through the kills, damage dealt, damage value, and all that stuff in a second. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a big juicy thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It is a well-known fact, 259% of people in the universe do not subscribe to Rubber Duck War, and we need to change that, of course, considerably. So let's get that popping. There's obviously... Feel free to comment down below as well what you thought of the battle, but I'd really like to hear people's opinion on this rule where you can't bring a Star Dragon with another dragon in tournaments. Do you think it's justified? Do you think it needs to be changed? What is your opinion in general? At the moment, I don't see a problem really bringing a Star Dragon with another dragon. I don't think it's particularly abusive. It's certainly not any scarier than bringing double Moon Dragon with a netcaster to pop a net on someone and just eviscerate the enemy general that way. It's a very expensive investment, and I don't think against top tier players it's going to be incredibly useful, but if it allows us to see dragons a little bit more in the multiplayer scene, I am all for getting rid and kind of demolishing that rule. But yeah, there's also a load of links down below now that I've stopped my rambling, to my Discord, Patreon, Twitch, all that juicy stuff. It's a good time round there. So back to the battle. Imric the Dragon Prince, the Prince of all Saiyans, or the Prince of all Dragons, depending on which title you want to call him. Very impressive. 103 kills, 3.5k damage value, 15k damage dealt. As the Major Life, of course, not much value here. Still got down and dirty, rolled up her sleeves and really jumped into the fighting when she had to, but just nice healing on the dragons. I think it's essential to bring a life cast if you're bringing two large single entities like that. 2.3k and 115 kills on the Major Fire. It's certainly a underrated caster, not particularly amazing anyway, but being a dragon which can land and then burn and head your way out of a dangerous situation is certainly quite nice. The Spearmen didn't do too much, neither did the Silver and Guard, very low hundreds for the damage value, but they were there simply to hold the line. Our Skirmish Corps performed amazing. 56 and 39 kills on the Reavers, 815 and 746 damage value. As for the Chariots, 68 and 63 kills, 910 and 989 damage value. Please do try them out. We're in combination with Illyrian Reavers. I think they actually have quite a lot of potential to be brought more in multiplayer. As for my opponent, Codex Sarnita, certainly didn't have the worst day, not the best day though either. 55 kills, 1,532 damage value. Chaos Sorcerer Shadows got 750 value themselves. Marauders didn't do too much, relatively okay kills, 20, 49, but the damage value in the very low hundreds. As for the Chaos Warriors, a bit better, 748 and 613 damage value with 62 and 77 kills apiece. The Mirror Guard, 619 value on them with 45 kills. The Knights, 866 value. Certainly not too shabby after they took some pretty ballsy initial engagements trying to surround Imric and drag him down and eat in a big fiery breath attack and Burning Head for their troubles. As for enemy Skirmish Cav, he still got 700 damage value on this unit of Horsemen and 9 kills, but then 223, 420 is not that good at all damage value-wise. The other unit of Horsemars performed really good though, 27 kills, 1.2k damage value, putting in an absolute shift. Warhounds unfortunately getting finished off in the mid-game quite quickly. Likewise, the Armored Chaos Trolls, only 400 value, but 27 kills, and hey, at least they tried their best, and that's got to count for something. Until next time, guys, peace, and as always, stay awesome.